Yeah, it'll be okay. All right, let's move on to the next boss. If you guys have no other questions, next boss we can go over. Um, let's go over Portal Keeper Hasabel. So this one actually has a couple different videos. Portal Keeper Hasabel, I think we're gonna use the Fat Boss one. The other videos that I found were not super useful because the players, the Warlock that was doing it, didn't have any interesting jobs on that boss. He was basically DPSing in the main platform the entire time. All right, so Portal Keeper Hasabel. So if you guys remember doing any bosses with portals, this is a very similar thing. What we're going to cover with this one is the main abilities here on the first platform. Again, this is Fat Boss's video. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for PTR testing for this one, and this is probably one of the better videos out there. I don't think they actually killed it. But essentially, there are 3 different portals that will spawn ads or spawn mini bosses throughout the entire encounter. Portal Keeper Hasabel herself, she's on the main platform. Oh, no, wrong boss. Sorry, guys. Let me go back there for a second. There we go. All right, so let's go back there. And so essentially, she has a number of different abilities throughout the encounter that, are fairly simple. What you want to do with Portal Keeper is tank her as close to the wall as much as possible because of the massive shadow AoE that she does. You'll see that happening here in a second. There. This big sort of reality, I guess it's called a reality tear, is a dot with 30-second expiration, explodes, does a crap ton of damage. You want to tank it as close to the wall as possible to maximize how much room you have. Or you can see it bigger, 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 and eventually explodes and murders everybody. So you're going to balance the boss between position A and position B. The other sort of ability that she has is those big green beams. Sorry, one sec here. Yeah, one's a tank explosion, one's a collapsing world, and you'll see these big green beams. Again, super easy to dodge. Just stay out of the lines, essentially. We'll see them spawn here in a second, hopefully. There we go. There's one. You see them dodge again. Back and forth, they're going through them. Yeah, and they have markers set up exactly from where the tanks are supposed to go. These are the big green beams that you'll be dodging. There's about 3 or 4 lines per time. There's always safe spots, so people should never get hit by them. And they do sort of overlap, but when they overlap, they don't actually hit each other at the same time. There is a set sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 for when they do hit. The other stuff here is you're going to have to send in teams to go deal with the mini bosses. So you'll always have a tank down below, and then you'll have a tank going into the portal phase. With that tank, you want to send a couple healers and most of your DPS. With this boss, you want to split up your single target as well as your AoEers. When you want to send up your best single target guys into the portals, AoE guys you want to leave back inside to deal with imps. So you can see here little imps are spawning from the ads, and you want to AoE them down. They're super easy to kill. Don't do a ton of fire damage. Don't have all your guys spec into AoE cleave scumbag stuff. Really, you want to focus single target as much as possible, especially for the later phases. You can see here. Let's have them go into the fire portal phase. You can see the fire portal as it's ticking right through separate percentages. You'll want to have your players go in there because that fire damage is getting harder and harder and harder to heal every single time. So you can see them. They're going to go into the portal here in a second. There, they're dodging the beams. Go into the portal. Okay, I guess they're going to the portal soon. Okay, here they're dealing with the green beams that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Don't stand in the bad stuff. Again, simple stuff. Let's try to fast forward a little bit here. Again, dodging those lines. So what I talked about earlier, right? See how it overlaps, but it grows. It goes a little bit less transparent when it's actually gonna hit you. And let's go into the fire realm here in a second. Hopefully take the portal here. All right, so a fiery portal to Zoroth opens up. Now your team, which you have pre-assigned, which is really a majority of the raid, goes into that portal. See what happens? They're going to go into the fire portal first. It is set portals, right? So you'll have the fire one here. Fire one's super easy. Single target damage, doesn't do a lot of damage to your players in general. Burn it down. The quicker you burn it down, the less raid-wide damage you're going to take. Right? So single target guys, throw them in here. Don't worry about any of the flames. Basically, those flame orbs you're going to need for the later phase. Outside of that, watch your feet. Don't stand in bad stuff, right? Don't stand in fire. There are people coming down. You want to interrupt his flames, really all of his abilities. So while that's happening, you got the rest of your players on the main platform. Your tank is still dealing with the dodging, back and forth. You can't send your entire team, right? Your entire raid, because you're going to get the catastrophic implosion when nobody is on the main platform, or if everybody dies, it's basically a wipe. There's no way to survive it. So you do want to set up a pre-assigned team to go in there for every single one of those portals, right? Know which portal you're going into. If I'm on fire portal, green portal, purple portal. Early on in that first fire portal, there's not a lot of damage going out, so realistically, you only probably need 1 or 2 healers tops for that fire section. So let's go back up there. So here's the fire portal again. They're going in there, they're going to DPS him down, and they're blowing him up. So again, the Flames of Zoroth, interrupt it, right? That is the biggest thing. Just interrupt, right? You should have enough DPS here to interrupt. The other thing is fire on the ground. Don't get hit by it. Super easy to dodge. You have a good chunk of this room to use. Yeah, realistically, Finners, you only really need 1 or 2 healers, tops. And this is on Heroic. You can see there's not a lot of damage going out. Most of the damage, it will be happening still on the main platform. You can see, look at the raid frames here. Just a couple seconds ago. Look how much damage these guys are taking, right? The other guy's taking a lot more damage, and there's only 1 healer here. They only send a priest. There are 4 healers on the main platform trying to heal the rest of the group up. That's probably a really good split, realistically, right? So you're going to, DPS them really hard here, burn them down, dodge the fire. Don't worry about the other flames for now. Well, realistically, you should have somebody bring the flame over. Basically, you run over it, click it, run it through the portal, and you carry the flame on you as a debuff, and then you drop it off. Similar to Archimon, for those of you that did Archimon with the flames, you pick them up, drop them off, and you're going to need it for later. There you go, Unstable Portal, and you're going to go back to the main platform, and now the red portal is no longer doing increasing damage, but it is just doing constant ticking damage on the entire raid, which makes it a little bit easier. So you're still having imps spawn the entire time, still dealing with all that crap spawn, but we're going to go into the green portal next. So Fel Portal to Rancor opens up, and you'll see what happens here. Now with the green portal, you want to keep the raid fairly close together. You might want to send a couple more healers with this one, probably 2 healers realistically. This one is a little more complicated for healers. So again, tanks, your life is super boring. With healers, this one is super complicated. For those of you who remember doing a new Barak back in Trial of Crusader, essentially it did more damage to you the more health you had. This is a very similar mechanic where it takes 10% of your current HP. So do the math, guys, right? So if you have 100 HP, 10% of that is 10, right? Well, now you have 90 HP. Well, 10% of that is 9, so it takes 9 now. If you have 10 HP, it only takes 1 HP away, right? That's in the very simplest of terms. So you want to keep your raid actually fairly low on the green platform, because otherwise you're just going to be burning through all your mana, trying to keep people topped off. It is not feasible to do that. Obviously, prioritize your tank. Your tank should be healed there pretty hard. Again, they only sent 1 healer up here. Now, again, keep them, 50%. That's totally fine. Do not worry about keeping people topped off here. Yes, send your druids, maybe a paladin, and you'll be totally fine. Here they sent, the druid, right? They sent a druid to keep these guys alive. You can see there they're taking constant damage. Again, don't fight it. The other thing is, you can't keep the raid really low the entire time because these webs spawn. For those of you that remember, there was a mini-boss back in Nighthold right after Trilliax, like a web one. Same thing here. He's going to spawn webs on your players that will basically kill you unless you break them out. There it is, the Felk Silk Wrap. You can see there's also an arrow pointing. Thanks, Fat Boss. So with these ads, blow them up really quick, cleave them. This is part of the reason why you want to be keeping the raid really close. Number 1, for the healing circles. Number 2, to blow up those things. Otherwise, your players will die. There you can see it. Yeah, highlighting. Make sure you kill them, break out your friend. Otherwise, you will no longer have a friend. See, super quick to break out, but if they're all like 10% HP, they're going to die fairly quickly. So keep them around, you can see here, 30, 40%, 50% tops. No more than that isn't really needed. Like make snow webs. Yes, for those of you that played vanilla. So same thing here. I mean, she does this spit damage as well. But outside of that, I mean, this one's a little bit more healing counterintuitive, right? This is that constant spit, doing lots of damage to you. Here, I think they heroed... Yeah, they use a time warp up here to really get through that phase. See, again, really quick wraps, get them cleaved out, stacking for heals, make it really easy. But yeah, I mean, that's it for the most part. That's for the red portal and the green portal. At the same time, you're dealing with these little spiders. Now, these little spider craps, they're going to go to your players and root your players. Well, that's how the mechanics sort of interact, right? You've got an ability here that you need to run away from. Look, a spider's coming to this guy, but you can see the green beam coming. Well, if you're rooted, you can't exactly run anywhere, right? Freedoms should work, I would imagine, but you definitely want to kill these things, you know, as a priority. Your ranged DPS, your boomkins, which you hopefully have a lot of, will help prioritize these guys. Again, he's rooted there. Potentially, you know, you can use erasures to get out of it. Otherwise, paladins use freedoms on your friends. They will. I mean, they are tauntable, right? And it is, you know, it is interruptible cast. So please use your interrupts, right? The winner is the one who gets the most interrupts. But yeah, you deal with those spiders as well while dealing with the imps. They're typically going to go for your ranged players. As a tank, you can taunt them wherever possible. But at the same time, you don't want to get rooted, right? Leave those priority ones for your tank. All right, the last portal here is the shadowy portal to the Nathrazim one. For those of you that remember the Kil'jaeden and Intermission, right? Remember how it all goes really dark until you find Illidan? Same kind of thing here. You can't see anything, right? You can't see anything. You can't attack anything until you get a light, right? Like Vault of the Wardens. You can't really attack Cordana, or whatever her name is. Yeah, whatever her name is. Until you get the light, right? There. So you can see the Lord there beating them. The only way to get the light is you take a flame orb from the fire orb back to the shadow realm here. And you're going to see what happens in a second, because they're going to do a really good job of it. So you can see here, oh, sorry, one sec. There's a flame orb right there. So they dropped a flame orb by the purple one, and you have to carry it as a debuff as a player. So they're going to drop it off. Yeah, the flame orb comes by. Where do they have it here? They can see on the bottom of the screen on the right side now, player with the orb. Yeah, he's running the orb over to the shadow section. It's going to fall off of him. You can see a debuff. Let's go back a couple seconds so you can see this a little bit better, guys. All right. All right, so there's the player with the orb. In group 2 in the right, oh, you guys can't see this because of my Twitch thing. He's actually got a debuff. It expires over time. You can dispel it, but you don't really want to dispel it. You can see it's going to expire, 3, 2, 1, and it falls off. You can pick it up again afterwards, right? So now you have it ready to go for you to go pick up there. That's a flame orb. When the purple orb spawns, you're going to have somebody pick it up, take the purple orb, and now you can actually see the boss to DPS him in that later phase. So now somebody picks up the orb there. You can see the person with that little red circle flying around. We now have flame orbs. Fantastic. I suppose you could always drop off flame orbs in advance, potentially, for this one too, right? If you're quick enough, have some flame orb, you know, person. And this is Lord Elgar. So he's got so this is where the fight gets really, really tough. He's got a spell with debuff, so it goes on a healer. Essentially, you do 0 healing now, but it restores your mana. So if you have 100, you know, full HP, great. If your raid's dying, you might want to dispel this thing off. But you can't heal. It restores your mana. I guess go DPS for a few seconds, restores some mana. It should help out, right? So it depends on you when you want to remove this debuff. Otherwise, it's gonna, you know, murder you. The Delusion's debuff there. Here, tank. The other thing is Howling Shadows. Make sure to interrupt it, right? Always, always interrupt. Lots of things to interrupt on this boss as well. Yeah, if you dispel it, if you try to use an immunity with that orb, it should just go away. Or if you dispel it, it just goes away. You don't want to dispel it. You want to keep it up there. This is probably the toughest part of the encounter. Guilds may want to use Heroism on this boss. Otherwise, you'll want to use Heroism going out of this phase into the final boss, which is going to be really, really tough to deal with. Because it is just constant damage going out. And until players get really proficient with these bosses and their gear really improves, guilds are really going to struggle on a lot of these bosses. I mean, they're going to be, I think, pretty tightly tuned with respect to how much damage is going out. Generally speaking, a lot of these encounters require a lot of healing, right? You're going to want 5 healers, again, for a 25 person raid, just to keep up with it, right? When you guys are doing progression, overheal it a little bit, because your players are not going to be used to the movement, not going to be used to the abilities that are going out every single time. Right? Fairly simple, though. You have portal teams assigned or not, but you should know when you're going, right? So groups 3, 4, 5, whatever, you are going into the portals. which healer's going in as well. You should know those kinds of things. So again, one healer going into red portal, totally fine, not a lot of damage going out there. You probably want to send a Resto Druid or a Resto Shaman into number 2, right, to really help out there for the green portal, and probably a couple healers into the purple portal to really get the mana buff, as well as deal with the damage going out there as well. So yeah, this tier has a lot of straight up taking damage. It's gonna be really taxing on your healers. Luckily though, it's not super complicated for the tanks, right? Realistically, tanks, what are you doing here? You're bouncing between one marker and second marker. It is not really tough to, it's not really hard to, to screw up, really. Right, it's very simple. Use your active mitigation, run the boss over, use a stampede, you'll be totally fine. And those of you that are, AoE or is arranged, blow those adds up that spawn both the imps, right? Melee can cleave them, your Fear Warrior is going to annihilate them. But if you have those dot classes, those hunters as well, really focus on those spiders going out too. And I'm going to go through just one quick little video here. This last one is, let me find it really quick here. This is the... an actual kill. I believe this is a Limits Warlock, Alacrity's Warlock, something like that. Oh, wrong one, sorry. Wrong one. There's my video here. Oh, I guess I don't have it anymore. Let me find it really quick. Here we go. All right, so they did a very small thing. They only 9-manned it, right? So realistically, they did fine. This Warlock was actually just on the main platform the entire time. We'll go through it really quick before we move on to the last boss. So you can see here the imps are spawning, right? He's murdering them. He's going to be dodging all this stuff as well. He's going to be on the main platform the entire time, so he's actually not going in any portals. Really simple job. For those of you that, raid leaders, you know the strength of your players. You may want to keep them down here if they're okay at dodging stuff, and it's, again, really easy to DPS things, right? So you can see here just running back and forth. A couple flame orbs were brought over from the red one, which is totally fine, right? They're going to bring these flame orbs later on to the purple one, but now they have them ready. So when you're in that red phase, the portal phase, make sure you bring those things over, make it really easy. Here they're dodging again. 1, 2, and 3. Again, easily dodgeable. You have plenty of time. This is, again, a very mobile tier. You want to have as much movement as movement increasing speed abilities as possible. And then again, wherever possible, you're going to be ping-ponging the tank to not the next portal, right? So here they're doing a lot of dragging here. Not really a lot of reason for it, because again, the more the boss is moving, the... well, yeah, they have the green portal there, but the more the boss is moving, the less damage you can be doing. So they typically keep, the 1 or 2 DPS over here. And what, they have one healer, a tank, and 2 DPS staying down below. The Fire Mage, and they sent, most of the players through that portal. So they sent, I believe, 2 healers, or 1 or 2 healers, and a couple DPS. So they're going to finish off the green phase very soon. And into the green phase, we now have spiders spawning, right? So these spiders that root you, these are things you want to prioritize. Again, they don't have a lot of HP, right? So throw a couple dots on them. They're going to be totally fine to die. Please, Boomkins, dot the crap out of them. They're going to be super annoying. And the last thing you need is having a, as somebody rooted going into it, right? So, again, part of it is tanks want to, make sure the tanks swap accordingly, right? For the debuff that expires, the more stacks it has, the more damage it does to the raid. So you want to typically rotate 3 or so stacks. If you go too many stacks and you do a tank swap, then the debuff expires and you're going to actually, just blow up the entire raid. So make sure you do a tank swap right prior to a portal, wherever possible. So here they're going to go through more spiders. Again, very simple on this main platform. You're dodging those, killing imps, killing spiders now. And very soon they're going to be dealing with the purple phase. Run, 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 Burning Rush. Again, play it safe. Don't move last minute there. But we'll see what happens. Let's have them going in a couple seconds here. Purple phase. Very soon, last 30%. See how there's little safe spots? Make sure you know where those are, right? You're not sending any of those green beams over possible. All right, now they'll deal with purple in a second here. Transport portal spawning. There, and now Fellhounds are coming out as the rest of the team has gone up to purple phase. So they took a Flame Orb with them. You can see a couple Flame Orbs on the ground here. You don't need that many because they are taking that damage, right? It's giving you less real estate to move. In raids where, I mean, with more people, it might be a little more tough, right? So there you go. There's the debuff on him. It's got a 12-second debuff. He drops it off as well. He can get dispelled. And they're burning the rest of the boss down. So at this point, they've had 2 DPS die up in the purple realm for whatever reason, and they're going to DPS the boss down the last, 20% or so and get that kill eventually here. But again, lots of ads. So whenever through each of these portals it spawns, the red one imps, green one spiders, purple one spellhounds, they're a pain in the ass to kill. Focus them down, or just dot them up rather, but focus the boss primarily here. So that's Portal Keeper Hasabel in a nutshell. Let me know if there's any questions about her. I mean, should be fine as long as, depending on where you go, it'll be easier or a little bit more tougher, right? I mean, your smart players may go up top, or your smart players keep them down below because they're able to dodge things and they're able to multi-dot things, right? So I probably would not send a Boomkin up top because there's nothing to multi-dot. So keep your Boomkins down below to absolutely annihilate all the ads down below. But I mean, it should be a fun boss. I mean, it'll be okay. Again, not a lot of super exciting mechanics for tanks. The next one, though, ENR, will probably be a little bit better in terms of, actual fun. But yes, let's go through